Cool. As I was saying, which no one could hear, there's quite a lot of important buttons that you need to press before streaming, which I said that I'd learn, but apparently not, because I hadn't pressed the button that meant that my voice would come through, which is quite an important part of streaming, or so I've heard. Hey, Albaldo? Is that right? And hey, Dwight. Nice to see you. Yeah, as I was saying to no one, because no one could hear me, we are going to be streaming some Talisman Digital Edition, because past the Discord logo, it is currently the Festival of Skulls. Everyone's got their skulls out, everyone's very happy about it. I can take the beats down a little bit. Alright, how's that? That should be a bit more in line with being able to hear me. Fingers crossed. I always like to have some kind of beat in the background. Like, as much as I like the fiddly Talisman music, it gets a bit samey after a while. Alright, let me just double check that everything is going smoothly, because it's quite a big stream. We've previously just been running pre-recorded stuff, but this is me live. You can see my face and everything. And if anyone has any questions about Talisman, that's what I'm here for. Because for anyone that somehow didn't know, as part of the Skulls Festival that we're running right now, we're running, our cool guys at Games Workshop are running, we've made Talisman free on mobile for the whole week. So it's free until the 1st of June. Because we were thinking about, what cool stuff could we do for Skulls? Because, those people at Games Workshop have been a massive help to us. They've been a massive support. And, we're not currently working on anything in terms of Talisman or Fury of Dracula or anything that's necessarily linked to Games Workshop properties. So we're like, well, if we can't make anything, what could we do to drive up people going, oh, this looks cool, or just make the event an even bigger event. So we decided to make Talisman free on mobile. So on iOS, Android, you can pick it up. As long as you pick it up before the 1st, it'll be on your account then forever. You'll have I think it's a license. So yeah, grab it. It's free. There's no reason not to. Even if you already have the Steam, Nintendo Switch, whatever version you have, it's free, isn't it? So why would you not? So I thought I'd do a little bit of a special stream where I'm going to go over. I'm just going to play some Talisman, answer some questions, but try and put more of a focus on, giving people some guidance, because I figured with Talisman becoming free, we are probably going to get quite a few people who had never played the game before, who picked it up and were like, what is this? Why am I now a toad? What's going on? So I was like, might as well play something that's a bit more beginner friendly, give people a bit more of an intro to the game, and see if we can't help people reach the Crown of Command. And from Discord, sorry for bad English, not first language. Hey, no worries. There's no need to apologise for bad English. English is an absolute nightmare, so any amount is good in my eyes. Michael Fulmer says, great idea with Talisman free, thank you for that. No worries. We were just spitballing ideas. I think we'd had it planned for a while that we wanted to see what Talisman would do if we gave it away for a week for free. We've been like umming and ahhing about it. We're like, what's the pros, what's the cons? And then we were like, well, what if we just do it for a week and see what happens? See what happens. I'm going to take my hoodie off because it's bloody warm here in the UK. Right now it's absolutely roasting. I went to go get the bins in and nearly died stepping into the conservatory because it's so warm. Will there be Skull event rewards? I have Skull avatar from one previous event. That is a good question. Let me go onto my profile. Challenges. Okay, so it doesn't look like they've been enabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly send a message to the guys that do the back end stuff and see if that's a thing we can turn on. Yeah, because we did that in previous years, and I think last year we brought it back. I'm just going to double check now because we might as well turn them on. It is skulls after all. Alright, so yeah, how is everyone? How's everyone doing? It's been a while since I've done a stream. We used to do weekly streams, but then we basically swapped to putting more effort into other marketing things and other parts of the business in order to better focus what we're doing. Because weekly streams are okay, but in terms of a use of time, because for anyone that doesn't know, I'm the only marketing person here at Nomad. So anything you see marketing wise here at Nomad is from me. So taking up 3 hours of my time, it's quite a big ask. And if the numbers aren't really there, it's a bit hard to justify. Not bad, missed the weekly stream chill sessions, but do understand with the change. Yeah, I think that's the thing, like, I didn't want to just stop doing it just for the sake of stopping doing it. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that it was clear why. It wasn't just, oh, we're stopping doing it because we don't want to do it anymore. There's a good reason behind why we stopped doing it. But doesn't mean we can't still do cool stuff like this when there's a big event. So let's. Are you guys back in the office full time? No, we are still working from home. So we actually met up. Was it last month or the month before? I think it was last month. Yeah, last month we met up in Manchester. So for anyone that doesn't know, our old office is based in Lim, which is like a little village outside of Manchester. And when COVID happened, we all started working from home, and we've never really properly gone back. We've realised that working from home actually works really well for us, but because we were all based roughly around Lim and Manchester, Manchester was the easiest place for us all to get to. So we met up last month in Manchester to play some board games and just hang out, and also meet the 3 new guys that we just hired, which was exciting. So yeah, still not back in the office, but you know, it works for us. We still have a couple of people that go into the office. Like, we still want to give people that option. but I don't think it's ever really going to be a full-time back in the office at any point, to be honest. Alright, let's play some Talisman. So, you might be one of these new people that have just picked up Talisman on your phone because you were like, cool, free. I'm not going to say no to free. And you don't know where to start, what to do, who to look to. So hopefully I can play through a game, give you an idea of what's happening, and if anyone's got any questions, hopefully I can answer them. So, first of all, let's go to character selection. Now, I've got all the expansions, all the character packs, everything. So for people that are new to the game, this screen can be pretty overwhelming, right? Like, there's a lot of characters to choose from. So I'm going to pick out some particularly good characters for like first-time players that aren't too complex but still have something fun going on. And then we can go from there. Hey, Freesy. Got delayed cooking. How's it going? It's going pretty good. It's massively warm here in the UK, but surviving, doing all right. Right, let's have a look. So, and also, if anyone's got any suggestions in the chat for like good first-time characters, let me know, because that'd be quite a fun thing to do. But I need to pick a character to start with, so I feel like I'm not gonna go for a spellcaster. I'm not gonna go for a character that casts a lot of spells, because that just adds another level of complexity that I don't think we really need. So Sage is a spellcaster, Merchant. We've got the Knight. Good. That Cultist, the Wizard, the Warrior. Troll. Yeah, the Troll's not a bad choice. He's like very easy to get to grips with. Sorceress, Prophetess, Priest, Monk. Ghoul, Elf. Yeah, I might go for the Elf. I feel like the Elves are pretty good. I noticed you have some unfinished games there, Tom. Do you finish games you start on the stream? Sometimes. Mostly if it feels like it's about halfway through, then I'll normally save it and then finish it off on like a second stream. But normally I just end up saying, okay, well, I got this far. I'm not too precious about finishing it. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think Knight is good. Monk, really, or Elf. I feel like I prefer the Elf to the Monk. So that's just a personal preference. So I'm going to pick the Elf. And for anyone that's starting the game, I'd recommend you probably do similar. Elf, Monk, both pretty easy. The Warrior's also not too bad. The Warrior's pretty easy to get your head around. But yeah, that's probably a good character to start with. Let's go for some AI players, and let's keep it easy. Let's go for Dwarf, the Warrior, and who do you want? Monk. Yeah. Nice. Easy to get along with group of lads right there. That's all good. Alright. So for anyone that doesn't have any of the expansions, which will be anyone that's picked it up for free, you won't be able to play with any of these unless you purchase them. We do currently have a sale on across everything because it's Warhammer Skulls. You know, that's all it is. Getting all those cool Warhammer announcements, and while you're at it, all the Warhammer stuff that's already out tends to be discounted. I think it's our biggest ever this year in terms of sales, because we literally have sales on. I'm the one that sorts out all the sales. So for the past month, I've been knee deep in sales spreadsheets and sorting all that stuff out. So we are on sale on Steam, Switch, mobile, GOG, Xbox, PlayStation. Show me someone else. I think that might be it. There might be somewhere else that I'm forgetting about. But no, Steam, GOG, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, mobile. Yeah. Basically, anywhere you can grab Talisman or any of our games, probably going to be a discount on there. Alright. I asked the dev team and the person who is responsible for turning on the skull stuff is currently off. So, I'll have to see what we can do about that. But, in the meantime, let's carry on. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about expansions. So, we offer a free expansion every week. So currently it is, let me just check my little free expansion calendar. So currently it is the Blood Moon. And next it's going to be the Firelands. So let's turn on the Blood Moon, because that's what people will be able to... Let's turn off the ledger egg. Let's turn on the Blood Moon, because that's what people will be able to... Anyone that's downloaded it this week for free, that's what you'll be able to play it on. Also, for anyone that doesn't know, because I know quite a few people are watching on Steam right now, the Steam version and the mobile version have crossplay, and you can also share your purchases between the Steam and the mobile version. So if you have all the expansions on Steam, all you need to do is open up Talisman on your mobile, log into your Nomad account, and all your stuff will be there. It works backwards as well. So if you have it on Steam and you have all the expansions on mobile, you can sync it all over to Steam. No, not everyone knows that, but it's a cool little feature. So if you already have everything on Steam, you might as well download the mobile version, because you're going to get all the stuff you already have. Right, back to the game. So I've chosen the elf. We have a couple of likely lads sitting with us, and I'm not going to try any different alternative endings at this point. I'm going to stick with a good old-fashioned Crown of Command, because that's all we need. But well, I suppose I could do Race to the Crown. First blood to reach the Crown of Command wins. Might make it go a little bit quicker. Alright, so the only expansion we've enabled is the Blood Moon. House rules, I'd say you can probably, if you're a new player, you can leave this all turned off in terms of the house rules. This is more for experienced players who want to make sure that their specific experience is properly tailored to what they want. We've had a lot of requests for house rules over the years. We've implemented quite a few of them, just to mix it. We know a lot of people get a lot of different things from Talisman, so we wanted to make sure that everyone could be catered for. Hey Geeky Chappy, welcome to first stream in quite a while. Alright, cool. I think that is everything set up. So let's start the game. Alright, so keeping it pretty basic, like I said. I'm just trying to give people a bit of an insight, not only for people that might be watching this because the Skulls Festival is on, but also for anyone that's picked it up for free on mobile. So we'll keep it nice and easy, nothing too complicated. Might be a bit slower because I'm going to go through quite a bit of the stuff that people probably wouldn't know off the top of their heads. So, alright, do that. Cool. So, Talisman is all about, well, I say it's all about, in this game that we're playing now, it's all about getting to the Crown of Command, which is located smack bang in the middle of the board. So you should be able to see it there. So this is the Crown of Command, which you need to reach in order to win the game. That's the goal. Get to the Crown of Command. The only issue is there's a lot of things in your way that are going to make that difficult. So you need to basically like level up your character and increase your stats in order to stand a better chance of making it to the crown. And that's the game. Loads of nonsense will happen on the way, but we can figure that out as we go along. I had some chat with the chat going on. So Dwayne asks, have you guys approached Games Workshop with seeing if you could virtualize the 40k version of Talisman Relic? So that is something that we've discussed in the past. I think the main reason why they'd be reluctant to do that is because we originally had Talisman the Horus Heresy. So for anyone that doesn't know, that was a version of this game, but with a very heavy Warhammer skin over it. It had quite a lot of different mechanics, and there was a lot more going on under the hood to make it different, but that's the easiest way to explain it. And we delisted that game, I think, 2-3 years ago. Basically because in order to keep selling the title, you need to pay license fees. And we had a big chat, and we were like, look, it's not making enough money to justify us spending the license. Like, we were spending more money to keep it up than we were making on it, like a considerable amount. So it wasn't an easy decision, but we ended up saying, look, it's just not working. So we took it off storefronts, and I think that happening has meant that there's always a bit of nervousness around something like bringing Relic to digital, because the track record for that stuff isn't 100%. Not to say it couldn't happen, but I think for us, with us being such a small studio, we want to make sure that we're putting our eggs in the right baskets, if you know what I mean. We want to make sure that we're working on the projects that we feel most confident in. And I think while we could probably do it, I think it'd work quite well. I don't know if we'd be super confident in doing it. I think that's the main issue. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Attack Mask asks, can't you guys convince Games Workshop to give you the rights for Blood Bowl and make a game of it? Help us, Obi Nomad Games, you're our only hope. We could try. I'm sure we could discuss that with them. I can't pretend to know how that conversation would go, but yeah, we have the contacts at Games Workshop. I also don't know how interested we'd be in doing a Blood Bowl game. I've not played it. I think we have a copy in the office, but I think we have like quite an old copy. Like, I think it might be like an earlier version of it. So we could, whether we would, that's a different question. Right, back to the game. So let's see what nonsense happens. So while you're playing Talisman, you roll dice to move, you land on spaces, and then different cards get revealed. And then depending on what the cards get revealed, different things happen. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to roll 3, so I can either go 3 to the left or 3 to the right. This ain't no Monopoly, you don't have to go one way, you can go different ways. Alright, I choose between fields or fields. Great choice. So let's go for fields. Draw an adventure card. Vampire Prince. Just know, whatever you did with it, it would be better than Blood Bowl 3 right now. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm sure the team that are working on Blood Bowl 3 are doing a great job. Yeah. I think if someone else is already doing it as well, that just makes it a bit more tricky. Like, I don't think Games Workshop would be that interested in giving it to us, which is fair enough. Right, let's have a look at what's happening. So, you know when I said, oh, anything can happen while you're playing Talisman? So this is a good example. We once talked to the... Oh, I don't remember what it was. It was someone connected to the very first version of Talisman, like part of the design for it. And he was talking about, you know, when they first made Talisman, one of the things that they really enjoyed about it was the fact that I think it was the original designer. Yeah, I think it was the original designer. My memory's pretty bad, but I'm still fairly confident. And he was talking about how one of the things that he really appreciates about Talisman is the fact that when you have like a traditional hero's journey in a movie or a book or whatever, they never face the big bad guy right at the start, right? Like, it's always a pretty solid upward graph in terms of the challenges they face. But that's not very realistic, right? Like, if you're an adventurer and you step outside to go on an adventure, who's to say that a giant dragon wouldn't swoop down and eat you straight away? Like, that's more realistic, right? Which is sort of what's happened here. I've basically taken my first turn and immediately come across a vampire prince who is pretty dang strong. So to talk about how combat works in Talisman, you have 2 main stats for it. You have your strength, which represents your literal physical strength, and you have your craft, which represents like your skill with magics, or however else your character themes it. And you can gain them both independently, and you use that to see who's going to win whenever you fight something. So I currently have a craft of 4, which you can see in blue next to my character, and the Vampire Prince has a craft of 9, so he is an entire 5 points ahead of me. So if we encounter him, we're going to have a fight. Now there's still an element of randomness, because what you do is you each roll a dice, and then that dice roll gets added to whatever your score is. So if I roll 6, it'll get added to my 4 and make a 10. So there's still a bit of variance, and still a bit of randomness, but having more points is always going to be better, because you get that guaranteed, like, you're hedging your bets more. So I need to roll a 6, because he's got a modifier of -1, so his actual result is 8. So if I roll 6 and he rolls a 1, because then he'd have 9, that's the only way I win. Don't like those odds. Come on, 6. Nope. Alright, well, no matter what he rolls, I'm dead. Alright, well, I'm not fully dead. You do have lives in Talisman. It's not quite that brutal. Alright, so what does he do? If you are defeated, in addition to losing 1 life, he'll kill one of your foes at random. If you have done, you lose 1 additional life instead. He'll remain here until he is killed. Okay, so I lose a life from losing the fight, and then I lose a life from his ability. So off to a great start. I'm very happy with this. Alright, let's see what everyone else gets up to. Hungering Artifact, nice. So the warrior's going to make his move. Alright, 4 spaces. Hills, get an adventure card. A pixie. Yeah, so there's different types of adventure cards. You have items, which you can carry with you. You have enemies, which you fight. You have followers, who you can take with you and give you various benefits. And there's strangers as well, which will do all sorts of weird stuff. But enough that weird stuff. Let's roll the dice and see where we go. Alright, 2 spaces. So I can either go to the woods, and I get some kind of... oh, it's... you may evade creatures and characters in the woods. I'm going to travel here, because if it does end up being something massive, I can just be like, nah, not interested. Water bottle. Cool. I'll take a water bottle. A water bottle I found in the woods. Right, dwarf gets 6. And a follower. Alright. A mighty one. Also, not sure how many people noticed, but I did just take a drink. Everyone was paying close attention. And, as we all know, it is time. Well, I say we all know. For anyone that doesn't know, there's a regular section that I like to do on my stream that everyone loves. Everyone can't get enough of. It's just the most fun thing ever. Sorry, I'm getting choked up, too excited. Which is, Tom brought a drink to the stream. What drink did he bring this time? Which is a section where I brought a drink. Who knows what the drink is? Can you figure it out? Let's see if anyone can figure it out. Quite an appropriate first turn, given it's the 126th anniversary of Dracula's release today. See, the game knew. It knew. It knew that that was what was going to happen. Yeah. You're right on the T track. To be fair, that's a pretty safe guess. But what tea do I have? That is the question. Because tea can be anything. You know, there's all sorts of teas out there in the world. But can confirm, the mug, it is tea. Because even when it's far too warm, I still need to have a tea. It's the British part of me. Can't get rid of it. As much as I want to, can't get rid of it. Yeah. Mango cherry, as I don't drink hot drinks, it's shot in the dark. Not mango cherry. I love green tea, so I think it's green. It is not green tea. I'm alright with green tea. I can't say I'm like the biggest fan. But it's alright. I tend to have it when I'll go to like a proper Japanese restaurant. If I'm having like a big bowl of ramen, I'll have some green tea with it. But I won't tend to just have it on its own. I feel like I have to have it as that complete experience. You know what I mean? Peach and orange is my favourite tea at the moment. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to take away this pop-up because I'm going to carry on playing the game. But no one's answered correctly yet. So I can tell you it is tea, but what type of tea it is, we're going to figure out. Alright, let's move to the woods. Adventure card. 4 strength points are found here. You may drink at the stream once per visit. Increase your strength by taking 1 strength from the stream. I've already been taking the stream vanishes. Earl Grey. Not Earl Grey. I don't mind Earl Grey. I can't say it's my fave. It's a bit too flowery for me. Not Earl Grey. Anyone that's on our Discord, which you should join by the way, because it's full of cool people, probably has a bit of an advantage when it comes to figuring out what I'm drinking. That's a pretty good hint. Alright, what's the monk doing? What are you doing, monk? There was a large dragon there, which you probably want to avoid. Right, ruins, the witch, an enchanter. Right, seems like a pretty easy fight. Lunar witch doesn't seem that strong. Yeah, so it's a score of 8. This is 5. It is some sort of caramel. You're on the right track. Dwayne's on the right track. Right. So I could... So the special ability of the elf is that if you're on the woods, instead of rolling a die for your move, you move to any other woods in the same region. So I could roll to go somewhere, or I could just know where I'm going and go to the woods. And there's a benefit of me being in the woods, which means if I get attacked by something, I can always evade it, which is quite handy. So I think I'm going to be smart. I'm going to go to these woods, and then the next turn I can go back to the magic stream, because every time I go there I can get a strength, and I want to keep doing that and get my strength up. That's my big brain choice. A fire salamander. When revealed, discard all of the cards in this region. It will remain here until it is killed. So everything gets discarded. Okay, well that takes my plan out the window. However, it is such a weak thing. I can automatically kill it. So this is something that appears when the difference between your strength and their strength, or your craft and their craft, is so big that there's literally no dice roll that would mean they have a chance. Like, even if it gets the highest roll it can, and I get the lowest roll I can, I'll still win. Talisman laughs at your plans. It does laugh at your plans. I think that's one of the reasons why, over the years, I've had it called a bit of a Marmite game, where you either love it or you hate it. And I think one of the reasons people sort of bounce off it is they feel like it's too random, that like there's too much that they don't control, so it makes it a bit hard to enjoy, which is fair. Like, I know people will be more inclined to play something where they have a lot more control over what they're doing. But to be fair, I think once you realise, what choices you can make in Talisman, and it's more about hedging your bets rather than coming up with like alright, here's my 10-step plan to victory. It's more about adapting to what's happening and trying to make educated guesses, or educated choices. That's probably the better one. I love the randomness, not enough of it in games these days. Yeah, I think Talisman gets it right with the randomness. Like, in a lot of ways, I think the way that roguelikes and roguelites especially have gone these days, like, you can see that Talisman sort of, in a weird way, takes elements of that and puts it in a board game setting. Because every single time you play, you're never going to know what you're going to get. And you never know what weird, wacky combos you're going to come across. So it means every single time you play, there's going to be something different. Alright, well that's my plan out the window, so let's go to the woods. Unicorn, add 1 to your strength and 1 to your craft. Yes, please. I'll happily take a unicorn. So, as long as I've still got that unicorn, I'll be 1 up in strength and craft, which is quite good. Quite happy about that. I just like roguelike games, old school rules. We've got another question. Certain of the Devil looks cool, but gameplay wise, he's one of the worst characters. Maybe deserves a buff. Fair. I think one of the things that we've actually discussed internally is, what else can we bring to Talisman? And one of the things that we considered and talked about was, how could we change how characters work? How could we change how characters interact with each other? And also, what abilities they have. So doing basically a big rebalance patch for the game. Letting you choose between classic characters and rebalanced characters was something that we played around with. I don't think we're actually going to do it, just because it requires quite a lot to balance the game, especially if you're rebalancing it. So it's a bit hard to figure out how we do it, other than giving some characters an extra point of health, an extra strength to start with, but that's not very exciting. We'd want to do something that was more exciting than that. So maybe we'll do that in the future. Who knows? Right. Let me get up things that I want to get up. That's it. Cool. Alright. Let's take a turn. So I could attack the dwarf, but I don't think that does me any good. I could kill him, but killing isn't really a benefit to me at the moment. So let's go to the woods. A big monkey. An absolute big monkey. Alright, let's see. 6. Nice. 4. Also nice. So I win. I've taken out that monkey. It's a dwarf's turn. Alright, where you going, lad? Bag of gold. Classic. Very classic. Lantern sprite. What does lantern sprite actually do? Right, let's resume the game. Also, for anyone that has just picked up Talisman and wants to either take it a bit slow, or the AI's turns are going a bit too fast, you can increase the speed of both the UI and the AI. So if you want them to take it slow, so you can see what they're doing, this is probably the best way of doing it. I think characters or gameplay needs tweaks depending on the way people wish to play the game, i.e. for competitiveness, some characters are not so good, with casual play they're fine. Yeah, that's true. I think one of the most common character complaints, I think complaints is a bit too far, One of the most common discussions that gets brought up is the alchemist character. So if you, I think the alchemist is originally from the Highland, I want to say. But if you play as the alchemist character in a normal game, he's fine. If you play with the alchemist with the city expansion turned on, he can do all sorts of nonsense. Like, the whole expansion's geared around like making the most of your gold, and he's a character that can do all sorts of insane stuff with gold. It's so easy to break him, like with the city expansion. So a lot of people have been saying, can you nerf him so that I can still use him? But I think that's the thing. It's trying to account for what people want, not what we think is the best way of going about things. So I think changing it to what we think is going to be the best is always going to. There's always going to be people that are like, nah, that's not what I like. So it's a tough one, because we'll never please everyone with any changes we make. What we got? A warrior with a holy lance. I'd like your stuff. I'm gonna take your stuff. Wasn't allowed to take his stuff. Why was I not allowed to take his stuff? Is it the pixie? You may evade creatures and characters in the woods. You evaded me, you slippery little so-and-so. Everyone's got together up here. Very interesting. But yeah, so if anyone that has just picked up the game, as you'll have probably seen by now, a lot of it is moving around, drawing cards, seeing what you get, and then from that you can either defeat monsters, which will increase your strength or your craft, or get various different cards that give you different buffs. And it's all about getting strong enough to reach the Crown of Command, which hopefully I can do. So, let's see what we've got going on. City, going to see the Enchantress. Alright, risky the Enchantress. So if you roll a 1, you get turned into a toad. And you lose all your stuff. Alright, let's go to the woods. A bandit. Right, I'm not going to bribe you. I'm going to fight you. So, fingers crossed. 4 versus 2. Nice. So, take him out. And then I've got enough to trade my trophies in for a point of strength. So, as I mentioned before, you've got your strength and your craft, and you can pick up items, get followers that'll buff it up. The main way that you buff it up is by defeating enemies, and then once you have enough points, so each card has a trophy value. So like this is worth 4, this is worth 1, this is worth 3. Once you have 7, you can trade in 7 points for whatever it's related to. So I can trade 7 points of strength for a permanent increase to my strength. So like as you play the game, you're just going to get stronger and stronger. It sort of represents going on that journey, having that adventure, surviving all that the world wants to throw at you. And the world will throw a lot at you. I can tell you, it'll throw a lot at you. Right, what are you doing, monk? What's happening in your life? A guide, always handy. Right. let's roll the dice. I've had enough woods time. Let's go to the Sentinel. A Cauldron Chrome. Alright, roll the dice. So I can either become a toad, lose 2 lives, lose 1 life, heal a life, heal 2 lives, or heal up my life value. So I've got 2 lives left. So 2 would kill me. I don't really want 1 because when you become a toad, you lose all your stuff. So I'm basically, I don't really want a 3 either. So let's see what we get. 5. Heal 2 lives. Perfect. Hey, thank you, old lady. You strange old lady. So, as we were talking about before, there's that element of randomness. Like, I could have got a 2 and just died. But instead I got a 5, and now I'm in a much better position. And if you like that feeling of, this could go either way, I could get absolutely mugged here, or it could be alright. You know, you'll get a lot of that in Talisman. You'll get a lot of it. Right. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's been quite a busy week, to be fair. We've been having to... We've got 3 cats who currently have fleas. So every single morning it is get up early, hoover the house, make sure they're alright, give them a brush. And it feels like we've been doing that for a long time. Like a very long time. But it seems to be getting rid of them. It's just every single morning you've got to hoover, every single morning you've got to do all this stuff. It's just not fun. I lost a life, that's alright. At least I didn't lose 2 lives. Still lost 1 life. Right. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about Talisman, here on Twitch, over on Steam, all you cool people that are watching on Steam, let me know, because that's what I'm here for. Right, monks in the woods, and there's a lunar witch. Let's go fight that witch. 5. Ooh. Sorry everyone, not bad. Not good enough though. Not good enough. Right, let's roll the dice. Get a 4. So I could go to the village. I could go to the crags. So I can visit the Mystic. Yeah, I'll visit the Mystic. So I can either become evil, get ignored, become good, gain a craft, and gain a spell. Hey, cool. A spell. I'll take a spell. Psionic Blast. My favourite spell in all of Talisman, just because it's really fun to say. Cast on yourself when you're at the beginning of battle, add your starting craft to your strength until the end of the battle. That's quite handy. If I come across something that's like at the start, when I first came across that vampire, that would have been really helpful. Well, it wouldn't because it was a craft thing, so don't think I would be able to do that, but still, it's a good example of, you know, grabbing spells, grabbing equipment, grabbing all the different power-ups that you can get in the game will help you as you go on. So there's a really strong sense of progression as you go through the game. Monks and Plains, a mummy with an entire craft of 2. Not looking good. It's got beat. All right. So I've not had to use that yet. But you know what I was saying before about hedging your bets? So in Talisman, there's a thing called Fate, which you can spend to re-roll the dice. So say if you get a 1, you're literally going to die. You have a bit of a second chance where you can spend Fate in order to re-roll the dice. You can only do it once per dice roll, but it's quite handy to have just in case you don't want to get absolutely mugged. But you have a limited number of them. There's different ways you can get them back, but you tend to have a limited number of them. So it adds that extra like tactical layer where you're like, okay, do I risk using a Fate here? Because you could always re-roll for a worse option, right? Like you're not necessarily going to get a better roll. You're just giving yourself another chance. And because you have a limited number of them, it can be a bit tricky to decide when and where you should use it. Alright, so we've got the warrior who has Pixie. What's the Pixie do? Well, there's not really use in me stealing the Pixie, but having a weapon would be quite good. So I'm going to see if I can steal his Holy Lance. And I think, just in order to make sure I win this, I'm going to use my Sonic Blast. Have you guys begun work on the next project since Catan has been released? Yes. So, for anyone that doesn't know, we did put out a roadmap for what we're currently working on for Catan Console Edition. But alongside that, we are also working on, trying to think what I can and can't say, which is a fun position to be in. So we're currently negotiating and figuring out how it would work in terms of, delivery times and stuff like that. But we're currently figuring out the license and the legal side of another board game, adapting it digitally, that I would say is pretty similar to Catan in size, in terms of popularity. I mean, nothing that's set in stone yet. We're still figuring out if we could do it, if we want to do it, if the people who own the rights want us to do it. But yeah, there's discussions happening between us and external people as to whether or not that would actually go ahead. So we're very much in the proof of concept, pitching for the idea for that at the moment. So we're doing a bit of work just to have something to demonstrate this is what we do. But obviously until anything's set in stone, can't really talk about it. The other thing that we're working on is something that is our own original idea, which is a new thing for us. But we've been talking to a bunch of publishers and developers and everyone that we know in the industry, basically, because we've had this cool idea that we think would make a really good game. And we're figuring out how that would work in terms of if we wanted to go with a publisher, how we would work developing it. So we're still figuring that out. We're getting there, but we're still figuring it out. And on top of that, so we've just hired 3 new starters, 3 new programmers, who are currently working on a vertical slice, like a very bare bones demo of the project that is based on our own original idea. They've got something working already, which is mad. They've literally only been here for a month, 2 months, and they're already got a prototype up and working. So they're already like properly getting stuck in. Yeah, at the moment, we are still figuring out what our next project is going to be, basically. We know it's going to be something new, but what that actually looks like, still figuring that out. And then once we know what our next project is, whether it's one project or two, depending on what happens. Once we have figured that out, we are then going to look at, okay, well, what do we want to do for our previous titles? Is there stuff that we can still do for Talisman? Is there stuff that we can do for Fury of Dracula? Do we want to port our games to anything else? But our main focus is going to be on new projects, because to be completely transparent, that's where most of the money is. And in order to keep our studio running, that needs to be our focus. Unfortunately, we do live in a capitalist society, and in order to pay our workers, we need to make money. So, yeah, our main focus at the moment is figuring out what our next project is going to be, and then once we've done that, we can then look at, how do we divide up our staff resources, how do we divide up our programming resources, and then do we have some time where someone or a couple of people aren't really needed on anything, so they can work on something smaller for one of our older titles. I think that's a pretty full overview of where we're at as a company right now. I think that pretty much gives it. Also, obviously, still working on Catan. We are bringing out some expansions. We're making a Switch port, so that's taking up quite a bit of time as well. So at the moment, we're pretty much 80% making Catan stuff, 20% working on these cool upcoming projects that we're not 100% sure on. And then anything that we do in the future will have to take into account the fact that, we're still making Catan stuff, which we want to do. We want to keep bringing out cool Catan stuff. We just need to figure out what our staff workload looks like. And if we need to hire even more people, which is exciting. Because like I said, one of the reasons why we've hired these 3 new guys is because we knew we'd have a new project coming up, but we didn't want to take away any resources from Catan to do that. So we're keeping the resources that we already have on Catan. We're just adding to our resources. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good 5-10 minute ramble about what we're currently doing as a studio. Alright, let's roll the dice. Roll a 1. Hermit, what do you do? Talisman, if available, and vanish it into the discard pile. I'll grab a talisman. I'll take a talisman off you, mate. Forest Brigand. Hey, I think I might win this. Something tells me I'm going to win this. Cool. So I now have a talisman. So for anyone wondering why the game's called Talisman, what part they play in the game. So in order to reach the Crown of Command, you need to have a talisman. So you can't just rush and get there. And there's another element of randomness where you have to make sure that you are going to get a talisman in order to reach the crown. Of course, you can steal it from other people if you want to. You don't have to get it yourself. However you want to get it, that's up to you. Alright, so far I'm feeling pretty confident about this game. I've got a good amount of strength, a good amount of craft. I've got a talisman, a holy lance, I've got a unicorn. Kind of holding on to a unicorn. So, I'm like quietly confident, be the best way to describe it. Very quietly confident. Like, very, very, very quietly confident. But not too confident. Alright. Let's have a look. What we want to do. Let's roll the dice, see how many moves we get. So, 5. Let's go to the woods. Take a guide. Don't really need him that much, but still good to have. Right. Marsh. You do realise that the game will hear you make that statement now. Oh yeah, 100%. All the hidden technology we've put into Talisman to read people's minds as they play. Will 100% just go, oh, you think you're doing well? You think you're having a good time? Well, I'm here to show you that you're not. Yeah. You never get too confident when it comes to Talisman. That's when it comes to bite you. That's when it absolutely comes to bite you. Do some healing. What do I want to do? What's my plan here? I think I might try and get into the inner region. So for anyone that's not played Talisman before, the way this works is you have an outer region and an inner region. The inner region is surrounded by a river, and you can't cross it just by walking over it because it's a big river. There's a couple of different ways you can get across. You can get a raft. You can get an axe and make a raft. But one of the easier ways is if you go to the tavern and you get a 6. The boatman that is at the tavern will ferry you over to the temple. So I'm going to go to the woods and try and land on the tavern. In order to get into the inner region. Right. A 4. As long as you didn't roll too high. You rolled very high. Should I use a fate to potentially? So basically I need to, if I roll a 5, it's a standoff. If I roll 6, then I win. So my odds aren't great. Basically, a third of the time, I don't lose a life. Nah, it's not worth the risk. Don't like those odds. If it's like 50-50 odds, then it's not too bad. But a third, it's not. Not about that. Not about that nonsense. Alright. 3, so 5 total versus 5 total? Yeah, standoff. No one loses any lives, nothing happens, and that's okay. What are you doing, monk? 1. Hills, the phantom. Alright, I'm not taking any followers from that. So let's look. So I could go to, where do I want to go to? Let's see what cards you've got here. When I start all my ideas of the game, take a secret look at the top card of the adventure deck and place it face down in front of any character of your choice. Start that character next turn, then must place the card on top of the adventure deck. It's not the most exciting thing ever, but it means I only need to roll a 1 to get to the tavern, and I get to beat up a scarecrow. So an ogre. Yeah, I could probably beat an ogre. So the next card that I draw is guaranteed to be an ogre, which is quite handy. Because if I beat the ogre, then I'll be able to level up my strength again. Right, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Yeah, we've also kept a close eye on how many people have obviously downloaded or grabbed Talisman on mobile since we made it free. And I think before we'd even put out anything, before we'd even said anything, we got about 4,000 on just Android, and then more on iOS. So I reckon we had about 10,000 on mobile yesterday, before we even announced anything. So there's going to be a lot more Talisman players in the world. So for anyone that likes playing Talisman online, please take it easy on any of the new players. I imagine quite a few of them will have no idea what they're doing. So taking it easy would probably be quite appreciated by the average Talisman player. Gain a spell. I'll take that. Spell remove any face-up adventure card from the board. Okay, that can be quite handy. It's not the most handy, but like, I can't think of many times where that's been terribly useful. An ogre? An actual ogre? Yeah, it sounds pretty slow. Yeah, we're pretty happy with how it's going so far, in terms of people picking up the mobile version. We got a bit of traction in Hot UK Deals, which for anyone that doesn't know is like a UK, it's like a website that keeps track of like the best deals on stuff. And we got trending on that, and we were like, oh, we actually got trending on it. And it shows like a list of all different deals. So it was like fence paint, Talisman, a jacuzzi. It's like, it's very weird to see yourself between fence paint and a jacuzzi. But hey, if people want to make the most of it being free, you might as well. Alright, 2 bags of gold. I could do with some gold. I mainly want to deal with the fact that I've got no health points. Right, 3. What do you do? If it is day, roll 1 dice and move the carriage clockwise. If it is night, immediately move to any other space in this region and discard this card. This might not be a bad idea. Count space. Cool. So I'm looking for a 6. Hey, nice. I'm very happy with that. Not often do you say I'm looking for this specific role and you actually get it. So that's quite nice. I'm quite happy with that. 2 lives for 2 gold, not a bad swap. Not a bad little swap, I would say. Luminous Blessing. Talisman cross-plane, it's free on both major phone platforms, driving that while in the jacuzzi is not too far-fetched. That's true. It's true. Although we can't be held responsible if you drop your phone in the jacuzzi while playing Talisman and painting your shed. Please don't do all 3 of those things at the same time. Temple. Alright, so now I roll 2 dice. And cool, 7, so I get a craft. Cool, so you're going to get a fate. Dwarf is going to dwarf all around. Bag of gold. Laboratory. That hungering artifact is munching on absolutely everything. Using your axe, you're heading for the inner region. Yep. So before I said you could make a raft. So that's what he's doing. He's making a raft and making his way into the middle. Which is an okay plan, but he's only got 4 strength and 2 craft, so it might be a bit overly ambitious, because things do tend to be tougher in the inner region. Alright, roll a dice. So I can heal myself, or go to the desert. Let's go to the desert. And a caravan. Once per visit, you may pay 3 gold to do the following. If it's day, gain 1 strength. If it's night, gain 1 craft. There are 1 die and move the caravan that many spaces clockwise. So it's day, so I gain a strength. Yeah, I think that's a fair exchange. Cool. End turn. Right. Let's see what happens now. What are you gonna get, dwarf? What are you doing? What's happening in your strange little world? A 2. You're gonna fight a monk. Oh no. Ah, re-rolled from a 2 to a 2. Is there gonna be a fight? No, we're just gonna chill out together. A ghost. Where's he moving to? 3, graveyard. Okay, that's not too bad. Alright, so my current goal is to just get the Crown of Command. Which I think I can probably do. I'd probably like to have about 9 points in strength or craft before I really start to go for it. That seems to be like the acceptable, like you can do it on 7, but you're probably going to take a while. And you can do it on 8, but you might as well spend an extra turn or 2 getting an extra strength. Nine versus 7. Fair. That's alright. Trading those trophies. Got a lot of trophies to make up that 7. Nice. Maybe it wasn't such a bad idea coming into the middle. Maybe it wasn't such a terrible idea. Alright. All planes. Would you guys ever bring an RPG game to digital? You mean like, what do you mean? In terms of like a tabletop role-playing game? Because depends how you do it, really, if that's your question. Like, that's quite a tricky one to answer. So I can go to the Cursed Glade. Torchbearer. So defeated by a creature, all penalties, but you immediately have a creature again to the ending of turn. You may only do this once per turn. Cool, get the chance. That's right. Alright. Yeah, if you're talking about tabletop RPG, that'd be quite a big ask. It's a bit outside our wheelhouse, to be honest. Not to say that we wouldn't ever do it, but I don't know if it'd be our choice It just happens to be one tied lore-wise to the very game that you're playing. Yes, there is the tabletop RPG for Talisman, which, because none of us have been in the office, we've not actually had a chance to play. We need to get together and properly do that at some point. But no, we don't have any plans to adapt it, and we'd probably, until I've actually played it, it's a bit hard to say. I imagine it'd be a massive undertaking, because in order to adapt something like that, you really need to go down the Neverwinter Nights Divinity route, where it's like you add so much to the game that it's just a massive undertaking. Whereas with a digital board game, it's a lot more. We've implemented the rules, everything works, cool, sorted. Right. So I could go to the Warlock's Cave, but I don't need a talisman. So I'm going to go to the Portal of Power instead. And get a Pool of Life. Gain a life. I'm cool with that. That's fair. Yeah, I think it'd be a different thing if there was if it was more structured, because I'm guessing it is a D&D style not choose your own adventure. A D&D style, you have a dungeon master and you have the ability for players to make their own choices and have that impact be whatever the dungeon master decides it is. And in order to implement that, it's a lot of work. Like, a lot. Did the Wealth expansion have quest rewards as well as talismans? I can't remember. No, it's in the Frost March that you get the quest rewards. I'm sure someone will correct me in the chat. Also, realised I hadn't pointed out, for anyone wondering why we are in the Skulls event and why we're streaming onto the Skulls event right now, because most of the games on there, it's like Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Vermintide, Blood Bowl, things that are like, okay, well, this is obviously tied to Warhammer. But a lot of people ask us, what is this part of Warhammer? Why is this? And it's actually because both this and Fury of Dracula are board games that Games Workshop published in the 80s, back before they fell in love with Space Marines. They also published board games, and Talisman was one of them. So they've got the license. It's still a Games Workshop property, but for anyone that's wondering why we are always involved with all this Games Workshop stuff, it is because it is a Games Workshop property. It obviously gets a bit overshadowed by Warhammer, which is their big one, but it is still a Games Workshop property. Alright, let's roll dice. Let's go to the temple, see if I can gain a strength. I don't, but I got 10, so I gain a talisman. Let's re-roll that one. So that is 11, gain 2 fate. Cool. Spend a fate, gain 2 fate. I'm alright with that. Yeah, at the moment I'm really just trying to get either my strength or my craft up, because then I can go to the inner region and have a fun time. Well, I'm already in the inner region. I mean, go for the Crown of Command. That's what I'm going for. Alright. What are you doing, Mr. Warrior? You're leaving the inner region. Fair. Extra card, Holy Day. Monk. What are you doing, Mr. Monk? Travelling to fields and the Herald of Dawn. So you can avoid it, which I think he did, to be fair. Probably the smart thing to do. Alright, 5. So I'm not going to go to this space because I have to either pay gold or lose a life. Not going to do that. So then we're going to the runes and draw a card. If it's night, you may evade any creatures or characters. Cool, take that. Happily do that. So for anyone wondering what the day and night thing is, it is a feature that was added in the Blood Moon expansion, where every time you reveal an event card, if I'm remembering it correctly, it changes between day and night. During the day, creatures are weaker. During the night, creatures are stronger. So there's more risk at night, and there's a lot of cards that care about whether it's day or night as well. Just making another raft. He's having another go at going to the middle. That's what you want to do, my dude. And that's what you want to do. What you monking? What you monking, my friend? Dice, get a 3. Let's go to the Oasis, draw 2 cards. Vampire Bats, and a bag of gold. Alright. So I should... yeah, cool. I have beaten the bats. Yeah, basically at the moment I'm just trying to get to the temple as much as I can to hopefully increase my strength. That's my main plan. Because as soon as I reach the Crown of Command, that's it, game over. A 6. Where are you going? Planes. Yeah, so for anyone that hasn't played Talisman before, one of the big features of it is that there is a ton of expansions to add new cards, new characters, new parts of the board. It's really where the game properly comes into its own once you start playing with some expansions. Not to say playing without it isn't good. It's just once you've played without expansions a couple of times, you start to like see the same cards over and over again. You start to go, oh, okay, I want to mix it up a little bit. And for anyone that doesn't know, on both PC and mobile, every week we offer a expansion that you can try for free for the whole week. So I'm playing the Blood Moon expansion because that's the one that's currently free to try. And then next week is the Firelands, which is quite a tough one. So people might be able to see just how brutal Talisman can be when they play with the Firelands. Oh, so I was going to ask, what's everyone's thoughts on the Skulls Festival now that it's properly in swing? I know we've had quite a bit of discussion here internally at Nomad, watching the live streams, and we've all played a little bit of Boltgun, which we're very impressed by. We've got quite a good relationship with Auroch Digital, so it's always nice to see them guys doing quite well. Well deserved, I would say. Right, let's go to the woods. Adventure card, Sacred Ground. Cool. So I gain a spell. Draw a spell. Healing. Handy. Handy to have. Also, am I thinking correctly that there's now Warhammer Power Wash Simulator DLC? Let me... Yeah, Warhammer 40k is coming to Power Wash Simulator. Mental. Mental. Though to be fair, we did have a Goat Simulator Catan crossover, so I don't know how much in a position we are to judge. Blogger seems great. I haven't had a chance to see much of what's in the Skulls this year. It's been a busy month. Fair. Fair. Apparently, yes. I'm amazed by how well I say I'm amazed. It's a pretty, it's gonna do well, Power Wash Simulator. But I'm still impressed. Alright, let's go draw 2 cards. Adventure card, Morning Song. Cards just complete their move. They may discard any adventure cards in their choice in their space. One of their strength or craft points and add it to your own instead of your normal reward. Yes. I'll take that. I'll take that all day long. Because that'd be a cool way of getting strength. So who actually has strength? So Monk and the Warrior. So do I leave the inner region to go steal some strength? That might be my best plan. That might be what I should do. I think the game has changed. Warrior's been turned evil by the devil. So now I'm justified in stealing his strength, right? That's how that works. He's evil, so I can smack him in the head. I think that's what Talisman teaches you. I think that's what it's telling me. Alright. 3. When I reveal something at night, when a guard kills an enemy, the enemy gives 1 life. Cool. One day a person told me about the talisman. After that, all the money from the cards suddenly disappeared. This talisman was a mobile version. Fair. There is that feeling of like, I want to get it all. I want to see what every expansion has to offer. TJC. Assuming I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome to the stream. Monk's a dicey target to steal from. That innate sound at last is no joke. That's true. That is very true. I haven't actually checked. Does the warrior have any weapons? Yes, he does. He's got an axe. Self-portrait as well. Okay. Probably not too much to worry about. If he isn't running away from me, that is. Treasure trove. Take up to 2 gold. It's quite handy. See, I want to get my strength up, but I also don't want to lag too far behind the warrior, because if I do, probably going to start going for the crown, and it is literally just whoever gets there first. Wins. Nice. Alright. 6. So I'm pretty much Go to the sacred ground. Alright. Gain a fate. Not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to a free fate. Never going to say no to a free fate. A gnome. Good old gnome. Alright, from the dice. I can land on the man. I'm gonna attempt to battle him. Because then, if I beat him, I can take a strength. Three. It's not ideal. Oh, we only got 9. Even if it isn't ideal. Take strength. Yeah, boy. Alright, 8 strength. Feeling confident. Now, do I feel confident enough to go for the Crown of Command? Probably going to roll around a little bit more. I don't think anyone else is in danger of going for it before me, so I can probably afford to hang around for a little bit and just like properly solidify my skills. Become the buff elf that I was always meant to be. Warrior smashed that wolf. Did he? Oh dear. I assumed he smashed that wolf. Apparently not. Oh, he didn't lose a life though. Alright. Also, one other thing that I can point out to anyone that's picked up Talisman for free or in the sale, and wants an easier way of getting used to the game, is if you go up to the top here where it tells you what's currently happening in the game, you can click and it'll show you the game log, which is quite handy for keeping an eye on what's happening, or if you want to properly take your time to understand why certain things are interacting the way they are. That's quite a handy little tool. Alright. 6. So I could go to the desert? Oasis. Draw an adventure card. No, I think I'm all good. I really like the Talisman, despite the fact that my experience with the Marvel version was quite sad. My phone was quite cheap, because of which, after each action, viewing the card in the inventory, each move had to wait for the AI for 15 to 60 seconds. Send a video with this to your mail and hope to solve this problem. The new phone perfectly solved it by itself. Fair enough. Yeah, I think there's like, I don't know if, I can't remember if the store itself does it, but if you try and download a game and your specifications don't match up with what we've listed as the minimum specs, it'll probably give you some kind of warning. But yeah, I've tried to play games on my phone where it's really not designed to run it, and it is a pretty sad experience. But I'm glad your new phone runs it well. Always glad to hear your new phone runs it well. What you doing, monk? Going back to a sprite. Rigging the dwarf's drawers. 4. So I can either go to the treasure trove. I can either go somewhere that's going to cause me to have a really bad time, or I can get 2 gold. Pretty easy choice. Ugh. Pretty easy choice, I would say. For anyone that doesn't know, if you go to the chasm, you need to roll a die for yourself and your followers. And if you roll a 1 or a 2, either you'll lose life, or if it's one of your followers' rolls, they'll just die. So it's quite brutal. Best to avoid it. But there's a reason it's in the game. Because if you ever get any ability that lets you move other players somewhere, it is by far the best place to put them. Like, I have lost many a follower to someone else at the table turning around and saying, "Oh, I get to move you wherever I want. You can go in the crags, my friend. You can enjoy the crags." Is Hungering Artifact? Sure is hungry. That's eaten so many cards since this game began. We got a dire wolf. Bag of gold. Come on, mate. I believe in you. Hey, nice. He didn't get completely destroyed. Good for him. It's always nice when there's a happy ending. Alright, I can move 1 space, so I can either go to the caravan. Oh yeah, I suppose I could go to the caravan. Because I can trade gold for a craft. And then see how far it goes along. So leveling up my skills. Alright. 8 and 7. Not bad. Not bad. So I think... So what do I need to do? Just refresh my memory. Alright. So in order to get through the door, lose 1 from that ability. Alright, so I need to get less than my skills. So at 7, I've got better than 50% odds. No. Do I have 50% odds? I'm not very good at probability. And the mines, I'll probably go for the crypt. Alright. Yeah. I think I'm going to go for it. I think I'm going to use craft to open the door, and then I'm going to go the strength route. I think that's my plan. Because I reckon I can reach it. And if I can't, then all I've done is made myself a fool in front of the entire internet. So, what have I got to lose, eh? What have I got to lose? Trade for strength, fair. If you manage to defeat a dragon. Get myself up to 5 life. Not bad. Not bad. Right, the blizzard's making it so everyone can only move 1 space. Would you guys ever develop your own digital board game? You mean in terms of a digital board game for a game that doesn't exist? Because if so, yeah, probably. One of the reasons why we tend to do adaptations of existing board games, though, is we already know there's an engaged audience. So, for example, when we were talking to Catan about making the digital adaptation of Catan, like, we knew that there were this many physical sales and these were the countries where it did really well. So it made it a lot easier for us to be like, okay, we know that people like this game, and because they like this game, they're probably going to like a digital version. Whereas if you make your own individual one that's just completely out of nowhere, it's a lot harder to sell that to people. Not impossible. Plenty of people have done it. But again, I think it just adds that extra layer of challenge. So there'd have to be a good reason for us to do it, basically. Alright, we've got a fight going on. Stealing that crown. Stealing that solid crown. Alright. I'm gonna go for it. Use craft. So I need to roll either a 7 or less. Cool. 7 exactly. Sorry then. Alright. Can we do it? Can we get a victory? I'm fairly confident. Medium confident. Alright, what we got? Yeah, hopefully this has been somewhat useful to anyone that's picked up Talisman in the Skull sale. Just to give you a bit of an overview of what an average game looks like. It is mostly rolling dice, taking on monsters, picking up cool cards, and then once you've got enough cool stuff, making a break for the middle of the board. So yeah, even though it is random, you still got a lot of choice. You still have to choose at what point you want to make your way to the middle of the board, which ain't easy. Alright, we got a siren. Everyone misses a turn, apart from me. Oh, I mean, I get 2 turns. What is your favourite DLC? That's a good question. I would say that my favourite DLC is probably Clockwork Kingdom, just because the crafting mechanic is really cool, and it's like, yeah, it's just the crafting mechanic. It just sells me on it immediately. So yeah, I'd probably say Clockwork Kingdom is my fave. It's the one that I enjoy the most, the one I find most interesting to add to the game. So subtract your strength from the total and move directly to, so 8 minus, okay, so, could reroll this. Kicks me out of the ball. But I gain a life. Alright. Maybe it is a bit too early for me to be going to the middle. I probably need just like 1 more strength. Definitely agree. I've been loving Clockwork Kingdom. Yeah, Clockwork Kingdom is very good. Like, it's... There's not many expansions that just add 1 core mechanic and focus on doing that really well. Like, you have a lot of expansions where it's like, we've added these cool new cards and change the focus a little bit, and there's this other thing that you need to take into account. Whereas I feel like Clockwork Kingdom's very self-contained in a good way. Like, you always are going to have something wacky happen when you're playing with Clockwork Kingdom, and I really like that. Like, that's what I want in Talisman. I want weird, overpowered stuff to happen. And if you go all in on Clockwork, then you can absolutely have that. So yeah, I think that's what I really appreciate about Clockwork. A sorcerer. Draw a spell. Then I can see it. My favourite is the Reaper. Having the Reaper running around threatening instant death is so much fun. The Reaper's also a good one. I do appreciate the Reaper. I feel like sometimes when you're playing Talisman, while there are quite a few catch-up mechanics, as in mechanics that mean even if someone's super far ahead, other players have a chance to catch up with them, sometimes that isn't enough. And I feel like the Reaper does a good job of meaning that even at the late stages of the game, people still feel like they have a chance, because they're like, look, I don't care how much stuff you've got, I'm going to send this Grim Reaper at you and he's going to kill you. You can't get yourself out of that situation. Temple. Come on, 7. Hey! I feel like I'm doing good with the asking for a specific thing and getting it. Alright, I got double 8s. Good old double 8s. So yeah, basically just going to keep going back and forth between the temple and somewhere else as much as I can. Try and get myself up to the magic number 9, because I feel like that's probably enough to get me through. Alright, what are you drawing? 2 bags of gold. Attack that tiny dragon. Monk wins. Whoa, the monk had 9 strength, but then he went back to 6. Alright, let's go here. Adventure card. Don't need no heals. Don't need no. Definitely don't have an NPCs on the board. We'll love some more, even if not tied to an expansion. Ah, so like the werewolf and the Grim Reaper. Yeah, I think we enjoy them as well. I think the only thing for us is that they tend to slow the game down quite a bit. Especially with the Grim Reaper and the werewolf. It basically means that there's another player that needs to take their turn every couple of turns. Which is fine, but you know, we don't want to add too much of that, because it will just slow the game down too much. Alright, Warriors in the Plains. Plain sailing and all that jazz. Alright. What are you doing, monk? What's happening in your monk world? Fight. Actual fight. Really love Ancient Beast DLC, also Harbinger. Cool. No, they're both very solid expansions. I think I've said this on previous streams, but there's certain expansions where if you enable them, they just sort of dominate the game. Like, it's the thing that you really need to take into account while you're playing, which isn't a bad thing. What have I actually got? few things. Yeah, so Ancient Beast, I'd sort of categorise it as one of the expansions in Talisman, that when you enable it, it is the thing that dominates the game. Like, it's the thing that you need to take into account as you're playing. Stuff like the Frost March or Sacred Pool, you can sort of just turn them on and it won't affect the overarching game. It'll affect it on like a turn-to-turn basis, but you won't need to like keep it in mind as you play. Whereas something like the Ancient Beasts or the Dragon or the Firelands, I feel like those are the types of expansions that you can only really turn on, or at least I only like to turn on one at a time, because they just completely change how you play. Not in a bad way, good way to be honest. It just, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, you can't turn on the Ancient Beasts and then be like, oh, I'll just play and then interact with it if and when it comes up. Like, you need to pay attention to it, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, it changes the game quite a bit. So yeah, that's what I think about Ancient Beasts. Ancient Beats, however, quite happy to listen to some old songs. That was a terrible joke. Terrible joke. I'm trying to get the 6 gold that's in the Oasis, because I don't know what I'm going to do with all that gold, but I'm sure I could do something. Come on, 1, 2. That's not what I wanted. Grand adventure card. A wild boar. Don't think you've got much of a chance, to be honest. Don't think you ever stood much of a chance. Also, prehistoric sheep. Those are some good ancient bleats. When you go around the shop and all their vegetables are out of date, Ancient Beats are not where it's at. Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, Mr. Gold. For anyone that doesn't know, Mr. Gold is a really, really good homebrew talisman maker. He shares quite a lot of the stuff that he's done on our Discord, and a lot of it is very cool. So go check it out if you haven't already. TJ Chi, bigger expansion means bigger focus. Yeah, I think that summarises it a lot more succinct than I did. But yeah, if it's a big expansion that requires a lot of attention, you need to put that focus on it. You flatter me, Tom. You're welcome. But it's true. It's bloody true. Alright, Monk. What are you doing, Monk? I feel like I'm not paying attention to anyone else other than the Monk, and then every couple of turns I'll be like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Monk? Indeed, it's been great seeing the homebrew content Mr. Gold has been sharing in the Discord. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with Talisman. Though some of the smaller expansions can dominate pretty good too, like the Firelands. That's true. That's very true. Once it gets out of hand. Oh, that's what I wanted. Count space. Take all that gold. Take all that tasty, tasty gold. Alright, so I'm going to gain either a strength or a craft. And that's my plan. Then once I've done that, I'm going to go for the Crown Command. That's my basic goal at this point. Not much else I can feel like doing. Not much else I feel like I need to do, really. And while I could wait until I draw an adventure card that does something, probably easiest to just go to the temple. I started about the mobile version. If you switch to another application and you app the online game, one call, that's it. Otherwise, it's the most convenient version, in my opinion. That's fair. Yeah, I think I think the way that we originally programmed it doesn't support you going out and then going back in while you're playing online. To be fair, even games that do support it, that I've played on my phone, don't tend to do it that well. But yeah, I think in order for us to make it so that doesn't happen, would require a hell of a lot of dev work that could probably be better put somewhere else. That's my understanding of it, at least. I'm good. I'm still working on an expansion idea I got, but my attention is currently diverged all over the place. I'm trying a house to make from trying to buy a house to making a fan FNAF Plants vs Zombies game, fan game concept, dice card board game concept. Probably start to focus on one thing at a time. Fair. So that sounds like a lot. I think focusing on one thing at a time, especially like the buying a house, seems quite important. Alright, I'm now up at 9. Yeah, I'd recommend focusing on the house buying, because as someone that bought a house, it's quite a big mental brain load in order to do that. But hope it all goes well. Probably the house thing is the one that I'll hope that goes the best, because that's the one that can go the worst. House is actually for my parents, not myself, but I want to help and support them as much as possible. Well, that's very pure. I appreciate that. See, this is why I flatter you, because you do great stuff like that. Yeah, still, even if it is buying it for your parents and not buying it for yourself, still a stressful situation, I imagine. But I'm sure you'll figure it out. Just roll a 6 and the house will be yours. Roll a 1, you get turned into a toad. I think that's how it works in real life. Alright. I would like to go for the Portal of Power, please. Use craft. Hey, nice. End of turn. So, if I can make it through, should be alright. Fingers crossed. And then I'll have a victory under my belt. Yesterday was probably the worst in terms of the house. We had found an awesome house that accepted the offer. Essentially, we're in the final stages. And the bank lady all of a sudden changed our credit based on information he had for months. Oh, so annoying. So annoying. Yeah. When you've been through that process, like, we didn't get quite that far, but when we were buying the house that we're currently living in, we got pretty far to the point where they were like, yeah, we'll accept your offer, do all that, and they were like, oh, someone said that they'd pay more, so we're going to go with them instead. And I was like, that seems rude. Getting turned into a toad is why I avoid the enchantress like the plague. Yeah. Sometimes it's not worth the risk, but I think that's one of the things. That says a lot about what kind of talisman player you are. Like, there's certain people who will be like, well, yeah, I'm going to go for the enchantress. The odds are in my favour. It's not going to go badly for me. And there's certain people that are like, I don't want to have that risk. I don't want to even entertain the fact that I might get turned into a toad. So this is the one that cares about craft. So let's go through the mines. So I need to get less than 9. So that is 7. Yes, success. This was the first time I got genuinely angry. The money is thankfully not too big of an issue, we can make it work, but the fact that she waited until we had a house ready for purchase is what angers me. Essentially now dictates if we get the house or not. Yeah, that's just crap. That's just crap. When you can properly pinpoint it at, like, if you hadn't done that, this would have happened. Yeah, that's true. If you don't want to be a toad, you can always play as the mutant. Mutant's quite good for that. I'll roll the Crag/Forest even if I don't have to, but the Enchantress, no thank you. Fair. Really hate being a toad, eh? There's nothing wrong with being a toad. Everyone becomes a toad now and then. Alright, Dwarf manages to win. Goes in the cave. Gain 2 gold. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Well, everyone else can have their little adventures. I don't have to worry about Toad. I'll do it, lol. Fair. It's just, as long as you don't have to worry about Toad. If you have to worry about Toad, step too far. Alright, Warrior versus Dragon. Oh, you avoided it. Fair. Realised it wasn't worth the risk. Get yourself a shield. Alright. Well, while everyone else gets on with what they want to get on with, I'm going to go to the Vampire Tower. So, how many lives are you going to take off me? 1. Cool. So I could get rid of a follower. Yeah. Get rid of the guide. Take him instead. Is there any information when the characters of all DLCs will be available as avatars? It would also be interesting to get avatars of various monsters, for example, through quests to kill a certain enemy. So, we do have the means to put the DLC character avatars in the game. We just haven't got around, well, I say haven't got around. We want to save them and think about when we want to drop them, basically. Which we will do at some point. You know, it's just a matter of time. So in terms of when they'll be available, can't really give you a definitive answer, but they will be coming. Just not 100% sure when. It would be interesting to get avatars of various monsters, for example, through quests to kill a certain enemy. That would also be good. We can add challenges fairly easily, but since we added the challenges feature and the avatars and the titles, we've basically been non-stop on Catan and secret projects and other stuff. So all of the team who would normally be able to spare a day to implement some new avatars and titles have been busy all the time. But fingers crossed we can get a little bit of downtime fairly soon in order to do stuff like that. Mr. Gold says, Enchantress is usually my early game goal for quick craft and strength farming. Start, unless you're the troll, you have fate to spare, so I think it's worth the risk. If you turn to a toad early game, it won't be as game ending as later on, just being a minor setback. It's fair analysis. Alright, so I need to fight 4 pit fiends, which I think is going to go pretty well for me. Maybe not. Oh no, still managed to do it. I was like, oh no, but then I was like, oh actually, I've spent all that time getting my strength up. I'm pretty alright. Yeah, even then, I'm still good. Alright, 2 more to fight. 5. I don't think there's any way that it can win now. I think 14's too high for it. One last one. One last pit fiend. Cool. Awesome. And I still have a talisman. I was like, please, please don't tell me that I went all that way and forgot that I lost the talisman somewhere. everyone else is off having their own little adventures. Meanwhile, I'm going straight for that crown. I'm going straight for that victory. And I think, yeah, it's only going to be 2 more turns now. So unless someone has a way to stop me, I think I'm pretty confident. Pretty confident. It's kind of weird how the craft path requires good strength too, but the strength path only needs strength. That's true. That's very true. I think there's like a... You'd expect it to be craft all the way, right? Like you'd expect, because for anyone that doesn't know, if you take the up and around path, you have to use your strength, and you have to fight a werewolf using your strength. Whereas if you go the down craft path, you have to use your craft to get through the mines, and then you have to fight the pit fiends with your strength. Which, yeah, always seemed a bit weird. I'm sure there's some logic behind it. You'd expect to fight a horde of annoyed tiny wizards or something. Like, that'd make more sense, as much as a horde of annoyed tiny wizards can make sense. I'm at the portal. Not the portal, the Valley of Fire. At the Valley of Fire. Am I going to win? Think so. Don't think there's much that can stop me now. Right. Let's see what happens. Dwarf goes to the hills. A nice little adventure with a swamp creature. Just smack it with his hammer of light. That's what you want to do, mate. That's what you want to do. But I know I would like to win. So, yeah. Before I go ahead and win, just a friendly reminder that if you haven't already, go check out all the awesome Games Workshop stuff that is currently in the Skulls Festival. There is stuff on Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, mobile, Steam, GOG, anywhere that is cool, basically. There's also been a ton of cool announcements, so definitely recommend searching for Warhammer Skulls and you'll be able to find everything. And check out Boltgun. It's made by our friends over at Auroch, and it's really bloody good. What else do I need to tell you about Warhammer? No! No! I went the wrong way! I'm a fool. It's because I wanted to tell you more stuff, that's why. It's a big brain moment. I don't want to finish the game too early, you see. No, what was I going to say? Yeah, there's a ton of Warhammer stuff worth checking out in the Skulls Festival, so make sure you do, if you haven't already. And the biggest thing you need to do is download Talisman on your mobile, because until the 1st of June, it is entirely free to download and keep. So as long as you download it before the 1st of June, it's yours forever. And because it has cross-play with Steam and Switch, it's worth having, just so if at some point in the future you have a game night and everyone gathers around, you can all play online together with your mobiles. And you can share DLC. If you already have the game on PC, sign in on your Nomad account on the mobile version, all your DLC's there. It's no brainer. And also, when you play online, why can I not? Have I messed up? Have I messed up? I think I've messed up. Am I an absolute fool? Alright, I'm gonna skip to next human player to see what I do. Alright, I miss a turn. Alright. Apologies, everyone. I'm a massive fool. Sending me all the way back because I decided, you know what, I don't actually want to win. Well, alright, at least I get there. Right. I also asked yesterday a question about a playable toad. I'll wait and believe that one day we'll have the chance to see it in the game, maybe as an April Fool's joke, or maybe as a fully fledged character. Yeah, I think, so I mentioned this on the Discord. It is a common community request, but we'd have to think about how we'd add it. Because the issue with adding a toad as a playable character is that even though it's funny to do so, it's not actually that interesting as a character. Like, it doesn't really do much. So we'd have to make sure that the toad was interesting to play as. Like, we wouldn't want to just add it and then people go, oh, that's funny. Then no one ever actually plays it, right? So we'd probably look into something more on the lines of like the Toad King, where it's like he cares about toads and being toaded. So we'd put in like a toad wizard or something, where every time you would become a toad, instead you get some kind of super cool bonus. So it's like you're incentivized to try and become a toad. That'd probably be more likely what we'd do. Also, see you, Dwayne. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you hanging out. Oh, I'm going to relearn all that. Cool. Let's lose 3 lives. Is Xbox going to be added to crossplay eventually? It's a bit of a tough one to answer, because the reason why we don't have crossplay on Xbox is similar to the reason why we don't have crossplay with the PlayStation version, which is the Xbox and PlayStation platforms have a lot of different, not hoops, but have a lot of different requirements for enabling crossplay on that platform. Like, if anyone remembers, it took ages for Fortnite to have crossplay on PlayStation, I think, and that's like the biggest moneymaker in the world gaming wise. So it's not impossible, but I think for us as a studio, we've looked at what it would take to implement crossplay, as in what we'd have to do to make it happen, and how long that would take us to actually do as developers, versus what else we could do with that time. And at the moment, there's stuff that is a better use of our time for the community. Like, we can work on patches that will affect every platform, for example. We can work on bug fixes that will affect every platform, whereas, you know, there's an argument to be made that it does affect every platform, because if you can play cross-platform play, it means Xbox players have more people to play against, which they'll always be happy with, and it means everyone on every other platform also has more people to play against, which they'll also appreciate. So yeah, it's not like a, oh no, that's never going to happen. It's more of a case of implementing it takes quite a bit of work in order to do everything that those platform holders require of us. And right now, putting that time into other parts of games that we're making is a bit of a better use of our time. What's better, buy the remaining 10 characters and 4 legendary decks, or keep the opportunity to buy food? Are you asking whether or not you should buy Talisman DLC and skip a meal? Because if so, I'd say eat your food. Yeah, food's quite important. Like, Talisman will always be there. Food, that's quite important. Like, if I had to choose, I would choose food. Not long, but I lost my work this winter. Friends because they count as backup food if need be. See, Mr. Gold knows what he's on about. So go Talisman DLC. Unfortunately, you can't eat Talisman expansions, as delicious as they might seem. So I'd probably recommend the food. That would be my suggestion. Focus on keeping yourself full of snacks. That's my official ruling on that situation. Like, as a game developer, as someone that buys games, make sure you are keeping yourself well fed. Make sure you're not running out of food. Like, you can always play other games. There's all sorts of stuff out there now. Like, you can play the expansions every week for free. Don't go without food. You heard it here first, everybody. Alright, what we got? Alright, this time I'm going to use my expert gamer skills to not completely mess up and click to go to the wrong place. That's my plan. Skip to me. Encounter space. Cool. I now need one more move to be the victor. I don't know what I was going to say then. Will I be able to do it? Will my gamer skills be enough? What ending you do? I'm just doing the whoever reaches the crown first is the winner. Nice and simple, because I didn't want something too complicated. I didn't want something too complicated, and then choosing to go to the Crown of Command apparently was too complicated for me. So that's why I needed something not complicated. So the stream is ending soon. Yeah, what I'll probably do is I will finish the game, hang around for a little bit longer, and then I've got some stuff to do work-wise. Because like I said at the start of the stream, marketing at Nomad is me. So all the stuff that needs to be done for the long weekend that we've got coming up is me. So I can't spend too long on a stream. Oh, I did it. I did it, everybody. I succeeded. It was a tough challenge, but I managed to succeed. If I knew earlier that you can buy DLCs in Steam and get them on your phone, I would have saved a huge amount of money, but at that time I only knew about the mobile version, so I bought all the DLCs that are not characters, as well as several characters. That's fair. Well, at least the benefit you have is, now that you've purchased them, if you do end up getting the Steam version, you don't have to buy them twice, right? Like, they're already there. Winner! I am a winner! Won the most fights against characters. Nice. Won the game. Cool. A well-earned win, I think. Well-earned-ish, I would say. Let's do forever delayed. Got some nice little stats. can't say for sure. I think anyone that's stuck around will say that it was a fairly well-earned win. Those 2 days, I already buy 5 new characters. Nice. Which characters did you get? I think that's always the interesting question. Yeah, that is a game of Talisman for everyone that's stuck around and watched me ramble for more than 2 hours. Yeah, it was a good game. Managed to actually win, which normally I can't do in like a 2-hour stream. Normally a game of Talisman lasts a bit longer than that, but managed to win. So yeah, anyone that enjoyed this, anyone that thought it was a cool game, make sure you check it out on Steam, check it out on mobile where it's free, so even more reason to check it out. And yeah, hope you massively enjoy any game you play of Talisman. Quick game by all accounts is only 2 hours 30 minutes. Yeah, a game can go on for a long time in Talisman. As long as you're prepared for that, then you'll be alright. Martyr, Black Witch, Ranger, Swordsman, Shaman. Nice. A good selection. I'd say. Yeah, so I think I'm going to start wrapping up the stream. And what I'm going to do is I've been recording this, so I'll set it to replay for the entire event. So if you're watching this and it's a pre-recorded stream, thanks for watching me in the future. That's how that works. But yes, main thing to point people towards is all of the Skull stuff, which you can find on Steam. Search Warhammer Skulls, you'll find all of the cool stuff that Games Workshop are doing until June 1st. And go download Talisman on mobile, because it is free until June 1st. Once June 1st is done, then it'll go back to being a paid app. But if you grab it at any point before then it'll be yours to keep forever. No reason not to, right? Like, you can download it, delete it, and then it'll be on your account forever. Wait, are you also responsible for Warhammer? Yes. I am responsible for all of Warhammer. No, I'm not. Talisman is a Games Workshop license. So that's why we're part of the Skulls event, that's why we're part of a lot of the Warhammer stuff, because we are still a Games Workshop licensed property. Well, Talisman, I'm not a Games Workshop licensed property, unless they want to make me one, but I don't know how that would work. So yeah, Talisman's Games Workshop. Fury of Dracula, another game by us, is also a Games Workshop game. It's from when they used to publish physical board games. They didn't do a lot, but Talisman and Fury of Dracula have stuck around because they're really good games. And I think that's it. So whether or not you're watching this live or in the future, however you're watching it, thank you very much for tuning in. Massively appreciate it. Go check out all the Warhammer Skulls stuff. Loads of cool announcements, loads of things worth watching. And yeah, I'll see you all next time I stream. Don't forget to join our Discord, because that's where I will announce streams, fun stuff that we're doing as a studio. Best place to keep in touch with us is our Discord. So yeah, I think that's it. So on that note, I will see you all next time. Have a good weekend, everybody. This is the awkward bit where I have to find the button that turns the stream off. Alright, I found it. Bye bye, everybody.